I'm in the perfect place to introduce Sassafras albidum, a really great native tree. I'm visiting my mom and dad on the Sassafras River, so it seemed apropos to find one of the many sassafras that grow up here on the eastern shore of Maryland to teach it to you. So first let's talk about the identification, and then I'll talk a little bit about natural history. So the twigs are really greenish, so the stems and young twigs are green, and even the trunk of young trees is kind of a green mottled orangey instead of a brown type of bark. And Sassafras albidum has many different types of leaves. I think the ones that are most familiar to people are these tri-lobed leaves, right? So 3 separate lobes on the leaves. And you can also see that the margin is entire, it is not toothed. And they're a little bit whitish on the underside. That's where the specific epithet albidum comes from, and slightly fuzzy. But sassafras has a lot of variability in their leaf shape. So we have these 3-lobed leaves. I have seen 5 and 7-lobed leaves. Often this is in places with drought stress. And then we have a more, another really common leaf shape is this midden shaped leaf. So just 1 or I guess 2 lobes. So that's really common, but we also have examples of leaves that are completely entire. And so you can sometimes see a tree that has all of these entire unlobed leaves and kind of wonder mysteriously, what is this tree? So when you're looking at a tree and you think it might be sassafras, keep looking at the leaves on the trees to see if you can find any with the lobing pattern, because that's what's really, really distinct about Sassafras albidum. So like I said, these leaves have very long petioles, so that's another character that I look for. They have yellow flowers in early spring. Sassafras albidum, sassafras is the genus name. Albidum is the specific epithet. Albidum means white or whitish. And like I said, I think it describes kind of this whitish undersides of the leaves. Although again, I don't think that's a diagnostic character. That's not one that I use very often. Sassafras leaves have this wonderful aromatic smell, and that might remind you that the tree is in the Lauraceae family, which is the laurel family. But I always think of it, I personally think of it as the stinky leaf family. So it has these really aromatic leaves, nice and spicy. It smells sweet and a little bit like root beer. And in fact, sassafras roots and leaves and bark were used to make root beer back in the day, and also sassafras tea, which you can sometimes still find. I think recently there was a study that sassafras is carcinogenic, and so I think it's been taken off the market in places where you used to be able to buy it. But has a long traditional use by indigenous peoples for these qualities of having aromatic leaves, bark, and roots. And it tends to be a small tree, so sometimes a shrub, sometimes a small tree, maybe to 20 feet tall, maybe 30 feet, but usually you see them as small trees. And they have a drupe fruit, so it actually looks like a little goblet on these long petioles. Unfortunately, this one does not have fruits on it. And so that's Sassafras albidum, our native sassafras, and coming to you from the Sassafras River.